Alright, welcome back, and let's talk about exceptions in our programs. What is an exception? Exception is, think of as an exceptional event. So in this case, it's going to be an error. So for example, I'm going to create a new package here. I'm going to call this exceptions and files. So if I have a class, I'm just call this demo. Call it give it a main, okay. And if I have, for example, I'm going to come along my program, and then all of a sudden I have integer a equals 5, integer b equals 0, and then we say that integer c equals a divided by b. We know that this is going to return an error because you can't divide by 0. But as far as Java is concerned, there's nothing wrong with this code. It compiles just fine. There's no syntax errors. Those are all checked exceptions, right? So when we're coding and compiling, Java checks for checked exceptions. This all passes fine, but if we try and print C and run this, we're going to get an error. We're going to get an exception. And how exceptions work is there's exception in this block, and if we're say inside another method, say we are inside, let's call a function here. So public static void do math. We take in integer a and integer b, and then we say this right here. Okay. And now we need to call do math, call pass a and b. Actually, now we can just pass any number, right? 12 and 0. Okay. Semicolon to finish. Run this here. Okay. So now we see that there is an exception in the do math, and then it goes to the main. So exceptions work their way up, so to speak. Okay. So there's a exception here, and then that's sitting inside the main. So this isn't really a heavy computer science class. We talk about the stack. So inside the main, once we get in the main, then we're going to get inside this function here. Let's say, for example, we can go even one more step further, right? Public static answer. So answer, let's say this is a double, and we are going to take one more. Let's say we're going to say integer x, integer y. So we're kind of going further and further inside the stack, and then we're going to say return x divided by y. And then here we're going to call answer and pass a and b. Okay, so first we're going to come into the main. Once we get in the main, we're going to call this function. That function is going to call this. That function then will call this, which will return this. Okay, so here we have one more error. So if we start in the answer, then it goes to the math, and it goes to the main. So this error is finding its way through the entire program. First, it's found inside this method, and then that goes up to the stack to this method, and then up the stack to this method. So we want to find a way to handle the errors. One, so we kind of handle this whole mess. And then also so the program continues, right? So here we'd say program continues, right? So if we execute this, this statement doesn't even get executed because the error occurs before. So we'll say program starts. So the program starts, then we have the error, and then it crashes. So we want a way to be able to handle this properly, where it's located, and then also we want our program to continue. So that is the idea behind exception handling, is that we want to catch it at the innermost. So we want to catch the error here. Catch error here. We don't want to pass that. Otherwise, we pass that error from here to there to the main, and it's kind of a mess. So that's the idea behind exception handling.